Michael DiLeonardo, also known as Mikey Scars. The government says he's a high-ranking member of the Gambino crime family.
On today's show, we have a professional face reader. She is widely acclaimed in her field. She's reached millions of people online and has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, this is an expertise that has long been respected and has been rumored to be used by the CIA. It dates back over 3,000 years, being used by the Chinese, used by the Greeks. And today she joins No Excuses, where she will be identifying John Gotti and Sammy the Bull. We have with us two special guests. We have Sky, who is wife to Junior. All right, so Sky, I want to start with you so you can, because I got the phone call today from Junior about this idea. I thought it was brilliant as soon as he said it. And he told me that, can you explain a little bit how you follow Lori and how this whole thing came to be, this whole idea?
Yeah. So I'm not sure when you started your page, but I definitely had to be one of your first couple of thousand followers. And I was so interested in what you were doing, and it popped up in my head because they had started their channel, and I was like, wow, I wonder what she would say about Sammy and John. Like, I wonder what she sees in those guys. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of do a collaboration, and I think the viewers would like it too.
But Lori said something today. The timing was off. This was back in 2022 that
it was
we
a
reached
while
out.
ago, yeah.
So,
and then we tracked back around, and I feel like everyone's gotten better with the channel and more comfortable. And Lori also shared with me that she's gotten better at what she does. So I think it was meant to happen like this.
I think so. I love that you came on board super early. I think the fact that you can understand someone's personality by the features on their face is wild. It blows my mind that that's a thing that's possible. I didn't believe it at first. I had to try it out all over the place. I know what I know because I have an obsession. I have an obsession with face reading and understanding it and understanding people. I want to know what somebody's about before that person even opens their mouth, before they even make a micro expression or a gesture. Before I see if their house is clean or dirty. I want to know who this person is. And I do hypnosis. And as a hypnotist, it also helps me to understand my clients better, know where they're coming from, and understand the parts of their personality that they don't want to talk about or that they don't show me. So I use it in all those ways. Also, I use it to pick my tax attorney, the person that house sits for me. I use it in all those ways as well. It's a practice that's over 3,000 years old. The Greeks were using it. The Chinese were using it. And now it's used today for casting. Movie casting directors use it. Disney uses it to draw their characters. How do you know a villain's a villain? Right? You know when you look at them because they're using face reading. The CIA is rumored to use it to profile terrorists. And it's also used in jury selection occasionally. So
interesting.
It's a thing.
I didn't know any of that. So this is more than just a TikTok fun little thing. This is like a real thing. I didn't know that. Wow, that's
RJ, to be honest with you, we wouldn't have brought it to you if I didn't feel it was real. Not to say I know everything, but if I didn't feel it was real, I wouldn't have brought it here. So it's pretty interesting, and I think everybody else will see it the same way.
Okay.
Wow. No, actually, what made Michael a believer? It's so funny. You did a video about moles, and I was scrolling through the comments. I think I found it on TikTok originally, and someone asked in the TikTok comments about multiple, and you said if you've got like over 100 moles flat or protruding, you usually look 10 to 15 years younger. And he's always been told his whole life he looks like he's 10 years younger, and he's covered in moles. So he was like, really?
Let me check her
That's
out. I started
interesting.
listening. But it led me to in your other videos, and a lot of those videos, they make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
And that's
with
what
Disney
Disney studied.
characters.
The
Especially-
mole, the mole things in actuals, they actually did this study and found this to be true. So congratulations on all of your moles.
But they also said that you're more susceptible to certain types of cancer if you have moles. And
Well,
cancer does run in my family on my mother's side, so it makes sense.
there's an upside and a downside to everything. And there's an upside and a
That's
downside
life.
to every feature of your face. When you have a really aggressive feature, there's two sides to that. And when we jump into this, you'll see people that have very sharp features. You think about sharp things metaphorically, they cut you down, they pierce things, they stab things, but also they can, a person that has a lot of sharp features can be a precision tool in life and do things other people can't do with precision because of the sharpness in their personality. So it depends on how you're using it. It depends on what other features go with those sharp or blunt features that can be, even violence features, but it depends on what they're paired with. So really, we got to look at it kind of like micro expressions. You got to look at 3 or more different micro expressions that say the same thing before you call it. We've got to do the same thing with face reading. So when we look at these photos, we've got to look at multiple things. You can't just see one feature and call it. You most likely will be wrong. So we got to read a person holistically.
Okay, very good. And where can everybody find you before we get started? So
Lori Bell Hypnosis on TikTok. I've got over 300,000 followers. People love face reading. I really have my channel as like a teaching channel because I just feel like everybody should know this. You're gonna make better life choices, relationship choices if you know this and understand it. So you can find me there. And also I kind of got going on Instagram recently. So Lori Bell Hypnosis on Instagram as well. And there's links to book your own private face reading or have someone that you're curious about face read, or do one-on-one conversational hypnosis. So check it out.
cool.
Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Did you make that big? Yeah, boy.
Oh yeah. Awesome. All right.
And
Well,
if you
so
want to, if you have, sorry to cut you off. If the picture's a little too blurry, we can always shuffle to the next one. If it's a little.
all right. Thank you. Sorry if I'm shoving my face in the camera to get closer. Well, that's awesome. That's perfect. So, yeah. Okay. So one of the things that sticks out to me like right away is the shape of his nose. So there's a particular shape of nose and face reading that you see on people that have sticky fingers or like to steal things. And it's going to have like a little bit of a bump on the bridge, which I want to see a picture of more of a side. I'm sure you have one in there, but then the nostril comes up really high on the side. And so right away that sticks out to me. And then his lower lip sticks out really far and curls over really far. Look at how like deep the gap is between the lower lip and the chin. That is just unbelievable amounts of hedonism. He's a very pleasure-focused personality, and also the chin juts out really far in a profile. So he's operating more from the unconscious mind, or like, I guess you could say like the lizard brain, right? Where it's like, it's about the physical body. It's about food, sex, and violence. So in intuition, he probably has a really good intuition about things, about people, gut feelings. People that have really large bottom portions of the face typically do, because it's more related to that animal brain part of our brain. So that definitely sticks out to me. Did he start his career in the mafia later in life because his ears are really low, which typically people don't find themselves or get started till later in life when their ears are really low like this.
Michael?
Okay. No, not really. He was in gang members since a kid, and also then he joined the mafia in his 20s, I believe.
All right. Was he not taken very seriously in the beginning?
No, he was taken seriously.
All right. That part's odd to me that his ears are so low.
Actually, he was in his 30s. I'm doing the math. He was born on March 12th, 1945. And he got made like in 76.
Okay.
So he was 31.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, let's see another picture.
This is him a little younger.
All right. What would you say, Michael, like in his 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late teens.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Late 1920ish, I would say.
All right. That's a lot of muscle to have in your face. If you think about the people you know in your life, how many people do you know have this amount of muscle in their cheeks, in their chin? Muscle is an obsession with physical power. And if you have a lot of muscle in the face, you're going to use a lot of muscle in your personality to kind of push people around, push things around, push things in your life around to get what you want. So that stands out to me, just lots of muscle. His nose is pretty long too, which is ambition, increased ambition. The chin, if you look at the chin, so when we feel the emotion of anger on the regular basis, when we feel anger on a regular basis and it's our go-to emotion, it's like doing sit-ups for the chin. You start to create all of these really intense muscles in the chin. And it's just what happens when you think angry thoughts over and over and over again. Our cheeks are personal power. There's a ton of muscle on his cheeks. That's pushiness, forcing your way into things, forcing your way through situations. So there's a lot of force in his personality.
And you did say that he did blast his way in, force his way in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right, Dad?
Yeah, very
He
good.
wasn't born into it. It was more of a Louis Melito style type of guy that muscled his way in.
Yeah, he's very aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. You know, I'm curious where he got the name The Bull. Because it's kind of fitting for all the muscles in his face. And
it was from when he was having a fight as a kid, and some of the older guys said he's strong like a bull. And Sammy, it wasn't Sammy the Bull, it was Sammy Bull at the time. That was his real handle in the street. But yeah, that's where he got it from.
Got it. Yeah. If you look at his nose, the nose is represents energy in the form of your physical energy and in the form of money. And so if you take a look, he's expending way more energy out than's coming in. So he probably wasn't able to I mean, I don't see him being able to hang on to money. I see it coming in and then he just loses it all or spends it all because the lower portion of the nose is not balanced with the upper portion. So, and this is also physical energy, expending more physical energy than is ever needed in all situations.
Well, your latter statement works. The first one is he's miserable. He's very frugal. You don't spend no money. Very cheap.
Really? Okay.
The latter, you're right. The first part of that, no.
Can you blow that picture up for me, RJ?
He came to my wedding. Him and his wife gave $37.50.
Well, was he just being an asshole?
No, that's what he told all his guys to do.
Do you have one of those later pictures? Let's look at his nose now. Let's see if it looks different.
This here's a later picture of Michael. About how old is he here?
He's in his 40s. That's probably the height of his power. Not the height. This is when he was a really formidable guy in the street. This is before he got in the administration, but that's when he was
Okay.
on his way up.
Yeah. So in face reading and according to face reading, and you know, people can have different programmings and different things going on, but in face reading, looking at his nostrils and his nose, he's leeching energy, leeching it. And when a person is leeching energy, it's physically overextending themselves constantly, and a lot of times it's financially overextending themselves constantly. So that's what I would call at looking at his nose. Also, he's got some lack mentality on the left side. It's a little bit of a triangle shape. So that's having a real lack mentality with money, like there's not enough ever. And it's on the left side, which represents our personal life.
Would that represent greed in his mind? His concept, what a lack of money is not enough no matter what you have?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be greed. And also there's like sticky fingers and a stealing thing going on. So we've got those two things going on. So I'm guessing we don't see how the money gets blown, but I think there's another part of his personality where he's just leeching money. That's what I would say about this nose.
Can I ask you what you think about his eyes? Because I always had this picture has been used extensively in various edits and shows we've done, but I always thought his eyes were very distinct in that photo. What may I ask you what you see from the eyes? Yeah,
something that's interesting that I think kind of caught me with his eyes is that the right eye is smaller than the left one. Our right eye is our business side, the right side of us. It's our business side. A lot of times people will look you in the eye with their right eye because, they're doing business with you and they want to put forward a persona. So his right eye being smaller, he's going to put forth more of a logical persona. He's going to come across as a little tougher than he actually is because the left eye in his personal life, he's a little bit more open, which is interesting because so when you look at gangs in particular, like any kind of gang and also secret societies, people will have different size eyes a lot of the time because they're living kind of like two different lives. They have to appear one way to the public, but then in their personal life, they're doing all kinds of different things. So it can make the eyes look different or be different sizes. And then you can know that the person is probably not presenting exactly how they are. They're holding back, or they're being extra nice and really they're not so nice because the eye on the opposite side is smaller. That stands out to me. Also, his eyes are very small in proportion to the rest of his face. People that have this, nobody really knows them. No one. They're like islands. They don't let people in. You could spend years on an island with them and you're not really going to know who they are. So he's a person who probably has a lot of secrets that he's never told anyone and probably won't ever tell anyone.
That is true.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're secretive. Very, very small. It's I want to see a picture though, because it's interesting to see how things change. I am curious about a later picture to see if his eyes.
RJ, could you pull up his mugshot when he gets arrested with John? You think that would be a good picture there?
Yeah.
But I am curious to see the progression as well. So maybe after that we could go to a little bit later one when he's starting to bald.
When he gets arrested, that's 35 years ago though. So keep that in proportion.
Okay.
her perspective.
We do have present day as well. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got the Arizona maybe that's in 99.
Yeah.
For the size of the eyes, would the same go if the eyes were in different location? Does it still, is it the same meaning?
So it switches. So the right side of the face is how we present ourselves to people. A lot of times you'll see people in business kind of turn their face, so you're looking at the right side of their face. So that's how you present. The left side of your face is how you really are, or who you are in your personal life. So depending on which eye is bigger, if the right eye is smaller, then you're going to present as more closed down, more of a tough guy, but then maybe you're a softie in your personal life. If the right eye is bigger, you're going to come across as this nice guy, but maybe you're a total jerk in your personal life, and your eyes are really small and you're just kind of curmudgeon-y and not that nice. So it changes depending on what side it is. It's a good question. His eyes are a little more open here, but when we're really stressed out, there's something that happens to the eyes. It's called sanpaku, and it's when the lower eyelid becomes very relaxed and sags down. So a lot of mugshots, people will have this, and it opens the eyes more. But here, even here, you can see how his right eye is smaller than his left eye. But yeah, he's definitely, you can see the stress in his eyes. That lower lip just gets me. That is just so much hedonism, probably alcohol, partying, drugs, I would assume. That's typically when you see this big shadow underneath here and the disproportion that we're seeing here.
In your explanation of the, let's say, debauchery, right? With that, being very violent, maybe his thing isn't sex. Maybe it's violence. Maybe it's gambling. How would you disseminate that? Again, when you don't know his personality, you really haven't looked at this guy. You only know a name right now, and he's picked. So maybe afterwards you could research him a little bit. But what about violence? What do you see in there? Violence,
muscle in the face like that is going to lean towards violence. If you look at his cheeks here, there's a lot of like interesting, I feel like I see like veins in his cheeks on the right side. Anytime you've got a lot of veins close to the skin, think of the cartoons that you watch where you have a character that's flipping out, getting angry, and they have a vein in their forehead because they're extra mad. Right. This is true of different portions of the face. So our personal power is seen in our cheeks. It's our pushiness, and his has got veins in it. So it's like, I guess I would read it as like extra force, pushiness, and extra fire in your personal power and being pushy. And then we've got his lip that hangs over. The bottom portion of his jaw is very big. He's got a really good jaw, and the chin and all of that. And then the bottom portion of the face comes out quite far. So he's going to be very connected to the body and the pleasures of the body. And one of the pleasures of the body for some people is violence. It is violence. So if violence is your hedonism, and it can be, because when we talk about hedonism, we're talking about eating, fighting, and sex. That's what we're talking about. So any of those things are all of those things, like an extra amount, like an intense amount of one or all of those things. And I can't see super specific things in face reading. It's like you get like a general overview. So you would know better than me. So it's like I can say it and then you can fill in the gaps, but it's incredible amounts of hedonism, being violent, sex, or food.
Well, I'll add something. In his videos now, the last several years, up until, let's say, last week, he has propensity, because he has two women that are hosts both young women, and his innuendos with sex and is stunning. His language about performing when he talks about things, he talks about forming, let's say, fellatio.
Mm-hmm.
Do this, do that. I'll make you do this. I'll make you do that. And then he has these things. Everything reverts back to a sexual thing, just about. And he has that giggle, like a real sinister underlying giggle with it, like a laughter. That what I just said, don't pay attention to it. Almost, it's like a joke, but I know him.
Mm-hmm.
He really knows what he's saying, you know. So even until today, he's going to be March 12th. He'll be 80 years old. He's got a birthday milestone coming up. He'll be 80 next week. So he still has that mentality he had when I knew him when we were really young. He's still the same way.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
mean,
really familiar with that. You're really.
But the pushiness and the muscle in the face. I mean, he murdered 19 people, so that kind of makes sense as well.
yeah. Take a look at his mouth. If you take a look at his mouth here, the shape of it, this is like a Joker mouth. And this is cruelness, the ability to torture with words, being twisted, being deranged, being strange. And I see this sometimes on beautiful women. It's very rare, but every once in a while I'll see this on like a really pretty girl. And when I talk to her, I'll find out that her parents were really twisted, said or did extremely twisted things to her. Now, if you have that facial feature and you have other features that say, oh, you're a pretty nice person and you know, you're a good person and you care about people, it's okay. It's just, you know, maybe you've just got some twisted things in your head from childhood or whatever. But when you pair it with the muscle, with the hedonism, that's scary. It's very scary. So there's a twisted, and one of the things that stands out to me about him overall, like, you know, I told you when you read a face, you start to kind of paint a story. One of the things that I feel like is at the forefront is twisted. There's something so twisted about him. And that's really in the chin, the mouth, the nose, and the lower portion of the face, the cheeks. When we're doing things with our personal power that we shouldn't be doing, or when we're doing like depraved things with our personal power, the cheeks start to get all these like weird indentations and things like this. It shows that we're doing things we shouldn't be doing with our personal power.
Maybe we should. I'm sorry. Maybe we should start progressing to his older pictures because that's what you're leading up to really see the change, right?
Let's take a look.
Can I just ask you one quick question, just a general question? Are there any distinctive features that are found in like serial killers, let's say? Are there common things? If you looked at 10 serial killers, would there be like a commonality or something similar? And okay.
Yes, and he has them. He has them all. Yes.
Like what specifically are things you see in serial killers?
You see a face that looks bony with muscle on it. Typically, it's wide. Typically, there's some type of hedonism in the mouth. Typically, the mouth, there's something twisted or distorted about the mouth. Those are some of the most common things that you see in serial killers. You'll see that they have signs of abuse. A lot of times they were abused early in life, and I would really have to take a good look at his ears to see if there's signs of abuse. But if you line up, that would be an interesting thing to do. Like, just put up a couple serial killers. You know, think about the Night Stalker, the boniness. Right. In muscle in his face.
Dahmer too. Jeffrey Dahmer was very bony.
Yeah, it's bone covered in muscle. Bone covered in muscle. That's what you see.
Ted Bundy was kind of like that too.
Exactly. Totally. So yes, he has all of that. Absolutely.
Very interesting.
I put an older one now. let's see what she could. He had a little work done when he came home from prison about 4 years ago.
All right.
So,
But you said that even with work done, that tells about your personality, what you do change about yourself, right?
That's right. Yes. If you get work done, your personality changes, because when your face changes, your personality changes. Also, when your personality changes, your face changes. So, okay. So we're just getting weirder. So, so I'm guessing probably it's a surgery that changed the eyes. When people, I don't know if you've ever seen someone come up and their eyes are really wide open and they're talking to you and their eyes are very wide open. This is a person that's trying to make really intimate connection with you really fast. They're really trying to intimately connect with you. This is something that you see on a lot of serial stalkers, very wide open eyes. And it can make people feel uncomfortable because it's like it feels like that person is trying to like get inside of you. So he's going to be trying to make, as a result of having this surgery, there's going to be a push to really make, have intimate relationships with everybody around him. It's all going to get more intense. So that's what the meaning of that would be. Do you think that he had surgery on his nose? Because his nose on the tip looks a little different.
it looks changed. It looks like it changed drastically, matter of fact.
Yeah. It looks a little more triangle shaped. So the right nostril in the first picture we looked at did not look triangle shaped. Triangle shaped nostrils equal lack mentality. So now we've switched to not only having lack mentality in the personal life, but now there's lack mentality in the business life. Not enough, not enough, not enough. So this is something he probably thinks about all the time. Not enough. Also, he's got a lot of back issues because there's a lot of whiteness in the nose here. And the nose also represents the back in Chinese medicine in face reading. So it looks like he's dealing with some back issues. We probably all will be at some point.
Do you think that maybe him spending so much time in prison led up to the lack?
Possibly.
Well, I want to say this mugshot, was this when he was arrested for ecstasy?
I think so, yeah.
So that he was feeling a lack of something that he started dealing ecstasy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Greed. It's just greed. More money.
Yeah. And that tracks too with the lower lip. That totally tracks. Also, if you look at the sides of his temples, you can see these deep indentations in his temples. This is a love of altered states. People that have it have a love of altered states. So either they love to meditate or they love to do drugs. And you can't really know. All you know is that they love not being present in their body now. So that's interesting. Okay. Interesting. How tall is he in real life?
He was short, but he looks like he shrunk a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think he was 5'3", right?
Yeah, 5'4". I think he shrunk. He looks much smaller. But he had more work here again. And he's got glasses on. We got something without glasses.
To see that amount of muscle in the face and that amount of violence, aggression on somebody that's 5'4", that's crazy. All right. He's still got the muscle in the front cheek.
Would you put those two things together and call it the Napoleon complex?
I think so. You're on something. Yes, I would. 1,000%. It's gonna make somebody need to prove themselves. Probably made him need to be more aggressive, more intense, fight harder, kill more violently to prove himself. I mean, that's gonna give you 1,000%. It's gonna give you a Napoleon complex.
What are some traits that you see in somebody that has compunction, regret, shame? Is there something that you find in people? Because there are people who do depending on how you view the world, but there's an argument that could be made that sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes somebody, is there any distinct characteristics in a person that maybe they went left in life and later in life they feel regret and remorse and they want to charter a new path? They want to, or is there anything you can find in a person and their characteristics that might show shame, remorse?
Nice people feel those things. People that have round features, squishier features, have those things. If that was something that he had, you would see probably a little more padding or roundness come back in the face. I don't see that in his face. I mean, the chin looks a little bit more round here. Here's what I think. So the chin looks a little more round. The eyes are more open. I do think that he has decided at this point in his life that people are important and that he wants to try to make more intimate relationships with people. But also, there's no padding in his face, so it's going to be self-serving. It's probably more for self-serving reasons.
He can't kill anybody anymore, so he has to adjust.
Yeah. I want to tell you that I see something like that, but
You're right on the money.
I don't really see that. I just don't really see that.
Sammy, we try to give you a little bit. Couldn't give you nothing.
I want to see it, but
there's zero redeeming qualities in the demon.
How about
we just try to find everything. So
again, do you see anything in the eyes? Is there anything that these eyes, like, now this is a very current picture of him we're looking at.
Yeah.
Do you see anything in his eyes that say anything about him? And to me, the old saying, eyes are the window to the soul. You can see a lot of, you can tell a lot about a person through their eyes.
Yeah, he's got very strange proclivities, and they're still there, and he scares me. I mean, even at, I don't know how old he is here. You said he's approaching 80 now.
78.
Yeah, he has strange proclivities. He's lived a life of violence, and in your face that shows. I would not want you to put me in a room with him alone. I would prefer that not to happen. As a face reader, I'd be like, very polite, but I can see there's not just violence, but there's something twisted. There's a twistedness that's there. And I feel okay in saying it because I think someone like him knows this and he's good with it. He knows it, might even be proud of it. It's gotten him where he's gotten, and it just is. There's a twistedness.
Well, I'm gonna give you something, and I know you don't know this because you did no background on this guy. How twisted he is. He made a T-shirt up like a license plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a note that said, "Bull 19," as for 19 murders he was involved in.
Yeah. See,
it's selling it as merchandise on his website.
That's so twisted. This is, yeah.
Besides all the stories that I went after him on and the people that he's abused, give you a brief sum up. He has called out families in a negative way of people that he murdered. Women called them ugly.
Yeah.
It took 40 years later.
Yeah.
Children going after children, then adults today, they're 50s, right? But still calls them out. And he talks down about everybody that he's hurt in that life, whether it be physically or mentally.
Yeah.
Well, what did he say about his own friend Michael the Bat that he murdered at his funeral? On one of his podcasts, he said that he recounted the story when he went to the funeral, and he said, "Look what you made me do to you over the body." So I'd add to the twist in this, if anything.
Yeah.
You're right on the money. You're right on the money. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Jump into John now, I guess.
Wow.
I asked about his ears before. I don't think you heard me because too many people were talking.
You
I
have
think
that?
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
Well, should we do John first, or should we do?
Well, I wanted to look at his body language. Joe Watts. Look at Joe Watts. I look at John, and you can't really see Jack, but look at his language, his body language compared to the other two gentlemen.
He puffed up like a pigeon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that. Wow. Yeah, just pure muscle, ready to go, ready to fight. It's like a pit bull.
Yeah, he looks like, the other two guys look really relaxed and comfortable in their skin. And
Yeah.
the guy with the black hair is also could be determined as a serial killer, all the bodies he has. But he is not most of them himself. But the way I read it is look at John's comfort, his posture, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Holding those lapels assertive. Joe Watts pulling his jacket down, looking directly at Sammy like, what are you? That's the way. Look at the way Joe Watts. And Joe Watts was not a made man. You don't know about all these things. But Sammy is somebody in this picture. He's in administration at this time.
I just want to say something that we didn't say before, because I don't want to lose a thought. Not only did he kill 19 people, he didn't do it physically himself. He made other people do it while he watched. So I don't know if that's another detail, because to me that's a little more depraved. Yeah. How many murders did he do out of 19 on his own?
Definitely did one. He admitted to killing the first person on his list, and then there was possibly a young boy, 16 years old, got shot with a shotgun. And he blames the other guy who's since been dead for doing it. But the world thinks he did it. So, but everything else was driven by him. He was ordering on some of them to go, but he's always asked somebody else to kill in front of him. I call him a voyeur of murders, of violence. He wants to see somebody else do it, and these are people that are extremely close to him, brother-in-law, best friends, very descriptive in how their murders were done, carried out. So you have him right. The only thing you off on, he is cheap, but everything else you got him right.
I wish I could know, because I really feel like he's cheap, probably because he's blown his money on something. I don't know. Maybe he's got some
Michael, how did he lose? So he came out of prison, Michael, with millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
And then he went back into the drug business. He didn't need to go into the drug business. He had plenty of money.
Yeah.
But do you know what happened with his money? All those millions that he had? What happened to it?
That's a mystery, because the family didn't have it when he was away. So when the government sees, maybe they see some money on him. I'm not sure.
I think he blew it.
Yeah, he blew it at that point with the ecstasy case in 1999. I guess that was his downfall of money at that time. But I think it had something to do with the government and that arrest before they had aliens. So.
But it's an interesting conversation that she opened up now that people can, look into it. Did he have his money? Didn't, it's a little rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
Well, great job with this guy. That's for sure.
Yeah. Twisted. If I sum everything up, it's twisted violence, hedonism.
Very good.
What are some? So this is Sammy the Bull and John Gotti. You see Sammy's face pretty clear here. Mm-hmm. What do you see when you look at John Gotti?
Charm, an unbelievable amount of charm, the ability to network. Do you see how Sammy's forehead is low This is just acting, but not thinking things through. It's like not taking time to think about something before you do it. Where John Gotti, he thought about things. It was planned out. It was thought through. His forehead is nice and tall. He's a very smart man. And his hairline, the way that his hairline is just the ability to network. People liked him. How could you not? He's just so freaking charming. He's got round eyebrows, which is like he cared about people. I could see that he cared about people. And he's got muscle in his face too. I mean, you look at those cheeks, there's a lot of muscle in that front cheek. I mean, he's definitely in the mob. Like, he's definitely like, he's a big deal. He's like, he's polished, he's poised, so much charm, and everything's well thought out. That's what I get from this picture.
What a difference, not a clearer picture, but chin-wise to Sammy. Look at Sammy's chin there, which looks like his latter picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chin, the
Yeah.
way he's in that last picture we seen of him.
Mm-hmm.
John's chin, you can see the difference in their chins.
Oh, yeah.
Based on what you
And then look at John Gotti's lower lip. He doesn't have a lower lip that hangs over. He doesn't have that big shadow down there. He's not driven by hedonism. I don't see that. He also has a cleft in his chin, which is the mark of the entertainer. Anybody that has that enjoys entertaining groups of people. They're good at it. They make people laugh. They're fun to talk to. Just more charm. I mean, he's got a dimple. Looks like he's got a little dimple in his cheek. That's charm. He can get away with saying things other people can't say. More charm.
That's a good one.
There's just charm. He definitely has what I would refer to as snake mouth. So that's where the lips are very thin. And instead of looking at them vertically, they're more horizontal. And you see this in men that make a lot of money, do big business. And the feature is a feature that they have where they're worried everybody's trying to screw them over, and they're going to screw you over before you screw them over. That's definitely a feature he has.
You asked Paul Castellano that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We got another picture of him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, look how tall his forehead is. He's genius. Very, very smart man.
Do you ever see, like, what are traits you see in someone who's secure versus insecure, confidence versus lacking confidence?
Oh, like Michael was talking about in that other picture where we were watching them stand there. If you are relaxed, it's because you're confident. If you're all tensed up and you're just all wiry and like crazy, you're not a confident person. If you had confidence, you could just relax. You could sit back. And you can see that in this picture. John Gotti, very relaxed. His face is relaxed. His body's relaxed. And then you look over here and Sammy's just like tense, wiry, like ready to go, like almost like that other picture, just a different angle. So, I mean, that's one of the biggest things you see in body language.
Do we have John's mugshot?
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't know. What's that on Sammy's left cheek? Is that a scar or is that acne mark? Do he have a scar on his face?
No.
I do see that stippling in his cheeks. And
Yeah.
that again, I think is misuse of personal power. What's odd about that, if you see it in people's temples, like stippling in people's temples, sometimes this is a sign that that person has really thought about suicide a lot. When you see it, because it's like that's like an obsession with altered states. And so you can see that it's gone too far. Stippling in the cheeks like that, if it's not related to acne, it's going too far with personal power. You've like gone over the edge. You're doing weird, not okay things with your personal power. All right. So the tip of his nose is nice and round, and it's kind of funny to see this on somebody in his line of work, but this is like altruism. It's sentimentality, having kind of a sentimental heart, really
Yes.
really liking the ladies. But in a sentimental, classy way, not a hedonistic, twisted way. Those lines that come down the side of his nose, down the side of his mouth, are very far from the end of his lip. And this is influence. Being a very influential man, you'll have this. I see people like Tony Robbins, they have this. It's very wide. His is very, very wide. So lots of influence, lots of connections to people. People really liked him. That's what I keep saying. People really liked him. Lots of charm.
I see that. You got a little bit of that coming down.
Yes. Yes, you do. It looks like his earlobe goes to a point. That's ruthlessness in business.
To bring it back to his nose real quick, Michael, was John's wife in love with him?
Oh my God. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the wife, from what I hear, and I know I've had conversations just with people that, from what I hear, the wife, all the way from the beginning to the end,
Yeah.
loved them the whole way through, no matter what, from what I hear.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that with him.
I spoke with his daughter before, and she told me that she said, my mom, the whole way from the first day all the way till the casket dropped, until this very day, actually, she says, like, even though he's passed on, that that he still means everything to the mom.
Now, what about the head, the angle of the neck and head in this photo?
Mm-hmm.
Is that any reading?
Well, I'm not an expert in microexpression or body language, but he does look like pensive, tense, but still relaxed in it, which is odd. But like, he's just
Good under pressure.
Yeah, he's holding his head up. He's hoping for the best. I see optimism in his eyes. And I feel like he was probably a very pragmatic person because the angle of his eyes is pretty straight across. So just seeing things how they really truly are. I love that his eyebrows are round. This was the most beloved eyebrow shape in ancient China. It's called the courtesan's eyebrows. And when people had it, you knew that they could be very flexible with other people. So I would imagine that in a conversation, he would flex and flow with whoever he was talking to and be kind and generous in the conversation. And that most conversations were probably pleasant conversations to have with him. He's just a socially flexible person.
What are some traits or some characteristics of a person that is lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. I had two questions. I'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
His eyes was my second question. When you look in his eyes, what do you see? What do his eyes say?
His eyes are very, very small as well. So definitely a lot of secrets, definitely a lot of things people will never know. And he holds all of his cards very close to his chest. Probably didn't let very many people know his real, true, deepest thoughts and emotions. And his eyes are set back pretty far. And these are people that are very aware of other people's motives. They're scanning for motives, constantly looking for motives, because they have a lot of motives as well. He's a motive-driven person, and motives are important to him. So scanning for those.
How about, because I seen a couple of videos you've done with the eyelid, the skin that he has. Does that say anything?
Oh yeah, that's just, he's very balanced in his intimacy. Intimacy is important, but then needs lots of space to do his own thing. So there's a good balance between, I would imagine he had a good work personal life balance, or at least tried to maintain that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right on money with John. That's for sure.
I
Well
love
done.
that M shape on the top of his lip too. Very eloquent with words, very good with speech. Probably be an excellent salesman. Probably could talk anybody into anything with that.
Right now, I'm very impressed. Very, very good. Excellent.
She's confirming a lot of what you've been saying, which a lot of people have been disputing a little bit, that they didn't know about John.
So in this photo here, this is a prison photo of various friends of John Gotti. John
Mhm.
sitting front center with the cigar in his mouth.
Mhm.
What do you see now? You got a more full shot of him. What do you see there? You said this is a younger him, much younger him.
He's just a straightforward guy. He's like standing straight forward. He's in this front and center. I think he appears to be just very comfortable with himself, comfortable with his position, comfortable in who he is. I see he doesn't have ego issues. I don't see ego issues in him. He's comfortable.
Does he know when he walks in the room, I'm the room? Is he one like? Is that what you mean by not ego issues? Where he knows I'm the.
Well, it's not even a conscious thought to him, because somebody who had ego issues would have that thought. They'd be like, I'm here, I'm in the room. He doesn't even, I don't even think he thinks that or thought that. I think he just was that. He just was it. He just
You know
was.
what? These guys could tell you going way back, and I even told the government this. I said, you felt John when you were near him. He had something. He had this
Yeah.
more than a charisma. You
Yeah.
felt John.
Yeah.
Again, like you just said, he didn't have to push it. He was it.
Yeah.
And I have an affinity for the man. He's a very dear friend of mine, and he had his faults. We all know we all have our faults.
Oh,
But
sure.
this is very important for history. For a person like you to come here unbiased, we don't know you. The first time I ever talked to you was just now, and that was John. You felt John when you were next to him.
Oh yeah, I feel him right away. It's like charm, comfort. He knows who he is. And big. When you said big, it's like when somebody lets go of big and small in their mind and in their personality. When you let go of big and small and you just are, it's everything. You're everything. And it's just this. I mean, I don't know. I'm a face reader, right? All I know is what I get from your face, but he's got so much charm, so much charisma. Of course, doing this line of work, he's got that broad face, kind of bone with muscle over it, but he's got features that counterbalance and work well to create charm. Like he's got rounded eyebrows, padding in the tip of the nose. That's a big one. That's kindness, giving to people. So there's balance in him.
Yeah, look at that picture, 1965.
Yeah. He's holding his head up again. He seems like a person that always kept his head up, no matter what.
See and he knew he was in big trouble in this picture. This is the one he got life.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can tell in this look that he knew that was a possibility. The whole time he knew it was a possibility. And there's like a kind of like, you got me. Like,
An acceptance, right? It's almost like he's accepting something there.
It's like, you got me, and I knew there was a chance you would, and you bastards. But it's not like, there's not like resentment, or there's not this twisted anger, weird, torturous sickness in him. It's almost like life was a game for him.
Funny story that you said that he had just gotten hit with life sentence without the possibility. He knew he was going to the worst prison in the country. And he also got like a $50 fine for something. And when they're getting ready to take him back, the he has taken off his clothes. He's changing, and he makes a joke to one of the guards and says, and I'm paraphrasing it, man, $50 restitution. You guys really know how to stick it to a guy. Or he makes like a joke like that after just getting he got like life and like a 50, it was like a small amount, but he made a joke out of it. Man, $50 restitution. You guys really know how to stick it to a guy. Right after getting a life sentence.
That says so much because he's not going around blaming other people. Like he knows exactly who his enemies are and who are not his enemies. And he's not mixing that up and kicking the dog all over the place. Like, and that people love people like that. People love people that are real like that.
They own it. He owned it.
Totally. So yeah.
Well, I think you did a great job.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about one final picture here.
Yeah.
And this is the final photograph that we know of him.
He was ravaged with cancer here.
And you can, let's see here.
It may be a little blurry, but I felt like we had to add this to it.
Yeah. Can you blow that up, RJ?
He died of real, it's not, hang on. 1 second. Let me just, hang on. Let me just fix this.
So where you going tonight, Lori? You going out to eat? Because I need
We're gonna go to there's like a little jazz place. We're gonna go listen to some jazz music and get some dinner. My husband and I met someone, like another friend, and we're gonna go hang out and meet a new person and listen to some jazz.
Good for you. Well, you have a pleasant evening. He might have had some surgery on his face here.
Yeah, surgery on his face. He had some things. They took parts of his chest and they put it in his mouth to.
They removed his jaw, right? They moved the bottom part of his jaw.
Yes, and they took the chest to put it into his face. And he suffered a real the last 10 years of his life was torture. He had bad throat cancer and he was kept under the worst conditions you can imagine. So, and this was one of the last known photographs of him shortly before he passed on.
Yeah, this makes me really sad. There's stippling in the chin. This is fear. You can see disappointment in the lines in the corners of the mouth, how they sharply turn down. Those are disappointment, thinking about the things you're disappointed about over and over again. The tip of his nose got a little more fleshy, which is just kindness and sentimentality. So he got a little more sentimental in prison. It's hard to tell. It's like I don't want to read other things in his cheeks and in his jaw because I don't know what's related to the surgery. And so I don't want to read what's surgery related. But he lost a lot of the width of his face. And people that have wider faces tend to be more social, more outgoing, more connected to people. So it makes sense that if you're isolated, your face would become more narrow.
He was isolated.
Yeah.
How about under his eyes? Does that say anything, the bags?
Yeah. So in German New Medicine, which is the study of how disease is related to emotion, and sometimes I'll mix it because some things there's not a good face reading explanation for that. But in German New Medicine, this is related to feeling like what they say, like a fish out of water, like you lost your connections. You don't have support that you need. And so it causes swelling in the body and it can show up under the eyes. So that's how I would read that.
Like a loss of control almost?
It's more like a loss. It's more like if you were kicked out of your tribe, or like you felt like a refugee, like you had to leave your family, leave your country. He had to leave his life and be isolated. And so it just causes this, I don't know how else to say it. It's like feeling like a refugee, feeling like you don't have.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and your descriptions, Michael. She read Sammy as being pushed for ambition, constant drive, like ambition to. There was never enough of anything. Always needed more money, more power. But inside maybe wasn't what he actually projected. That he projected that he was tougher than he actually is. I guess to a certain. Is that what you said, kind of about Sammy? Yeah. That he holds many, many secrets, things that will probably die with him, things he'll never come out, never talk about. Very self-serving. A word that you continue to use, which is not enough, not enough. It's just not enough. Always a need for more. Twisted, violent. So the violence wasn't how I'm taking it. The violence wasn't like just a call to order, something he had to do. It was like a sickness to it, a twisted element to it, where there could have been a more darker component psychologically to the violence. Michael?
Yeah, and he took advantage of his power. That's what I got from that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Michael, now that we finished the reading, do you want to give her a little bit of your, just for full circle, tell her if you can give an elevator speech on who is Sammy the Bull, who is John Gotti, from your knowledge of them both?
Well, both people came from the street. John really came from dirt growing up. Sammy had a family, had a few dollars. Both had belonged to gangs. Both became almost. John was the leader of his gang. Sammy was not. He always followed, but he had the propensity for violence all the time. John was the leader, and John could be very, very violent. Now, to sum up later on in life, and this is a beat of the drum to where we said that in that life, John never killed his friends. He never had his friends killed, no matter what they do, how egregious, and one particular friend, no matter how egregious the crime was, he didn't kill him. Sammy, on the other hand, ate his own. He killed his best friends. His brother-in-law was dismembered. Blamed everybody else for it. Everybody that either had a secret on him, stepped on his toe, a term I use a lot, paid the ultimate price. And you could see Sammy being pumped up before these murders. He really got pumped up at times, the ones that I know about. I participated in one with him. So I wasn't the shooter on it, but I was there in the planning and everything else that was going on. And you see it in his eyes, that like excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And he's killed his friends. He killed his best friend. He didn't do it. He watched. And his description, how descriptive he was at this time, how, guy got shot, went down, a gun was put on the guy's chin, and another bullet under the chin into the head. This is his best friend, childhood friend, that he pushed. John didn't order these things. John gave the okay, but they were driven by Gravano. That's the dynamic that I hope everybody holds. John didn't kill his friends. John was a murderer, no question. John didn't kill his friends. He administrated. He loved to lead. He needed to be boss and was boss and carried himself that way. Gravano was just devious. How do you kill your friends? One after the other. One could be a mistake that you may have regrets for. He kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no soul here. You know, and this is what I got out of him later on. Of course, I'll give you a statement that I said when all this was going on. I would go see him at the club, and I see him 5 times a week, probably 4 times a week, right? Either at the Ravenite when John had everybody there, Sammy would come, or I'd go to Sammy's club or see him business because I got involved with business with him, the Teamsters Union, etc. And he just the command he wanted, he got Sammy. But it was like John was the person he wanted to be in the end. And when I would, after one guy after the other was getting killed that we knew, his guys, I would say, good thing this guy I don't have anything this guy wants. And I know him since 8 years old. He's 10 years my senior. So that's how I sum up the two people. And do I have an animus to Gravano? Without a doubt. Do I have an affinity for John Gotti? Without a doubt. Based on what I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
John later on in life. I met him like 1979 around there. This guy I know since 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like 63, 64, I think 60. I'll be 70 years old in a couple of months. So, you know, I based that. And then Sammy was a huge disappointment because I love Sammy. In the street growing up, I look up to him. He was one of those younger guys that you could look up to. But then you see what unfolds as the power and the greed and everything else was coming about. And then I seen this other guy, charming guy, who bring you in, make you feel like $1 million. And he did. How you describe how descriptive you was, he can make you feel great. If he was mad, he undress you right there. But later on, he would come back. He did it with me once. And he came back and he rewarded me.
I guess that was the softness you seen in the nose, right?
Yeah.
Not killing his friends was the biggest thing. Not being bloodthirsty his whole life. Because he don't have that litany of bodies that we could put at Gravano's feet. He don't have it. But I was very impressed. And we really appreciate you. You know what? I don't talk to his family. And they don't talk to me, of course. But after this, I think they would really appreciate it, what you just did. I hope they do. And maybe you could get a phone call and thank you from them. Because it's very important what you did. You just was unbiased. You didn't know anybody here. And you read the guy the way he was. And I really hope the family appreciates that. Now, on the other side of the coin, a lot of people are going to praise you for pointing out Gravano, what he really is, because you hit it on the head. You really did.
Well, I couldn't have said anything else. It just, with face reading, it is what it is. And you know, I gotta come back to the point too. Just, we are talking about people that have done criminal things. Both of these men have done criminal things, but it's different. It's different to be very twisted and sick about it.
Right.
It's different to be that. And that's the difference. And then to have it's like, yeah.
It's funny when you're talking about two criminals and one could be softer than the next. It's hard to really put that perspective, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like you have to put the perspective though, because it's like we're looking into this really interesting bubble, and in this world, you had people who were sick and twisted, and then you had people who loved their family, and you can clearly see the difference there. It's a huge difference, and I can feel the charm and the charisma and the kindness. I can feel it by looking at the pictures and looking at John's face. And I can feel very creeped out by looking at Sammy's. Like, it's twisted, and he knows it.
So you're not weird for saying that, because my son Romeo, he's 4 years old. He's going to be 4. I put on an episode of Sammy. And as I was sitting there, I called my father right after it happened because it was really strange. And it was just Sammy sitting there with his son and daughter in the kitchen. They were eating, just talking. It was nothing. My son looked at the TV and said, "What did you put on? This is scary." And I looked at him. I said, "What's scary?" He says, "That guy's scary." And I couldn't believe it. And I called my father up, and it just goes to exactly what you're saying. You could feel sometimes, even if you're not in the same room, you can feel it when you're looking.
Yes. And we need to trust our intuitions, because when you get when you look at someone or you talk to someone, you know, your gut knows. You're face reading them at the unconscious level. We read faces at the unconscious level. We can't consciously back it up. So then we go, oh, I don't know if I trust myself. But I'm telling you, trust it. It's real. When you get that hit, you're getting it for a reason.
What I find interesting that you said is when you looked at the later pictures of John, you said you feel like he got more gentle, more sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just the tip of the nose. Like more flesh, more padding is more sensitivity, more kindness, more easygoingness. It's like that boniness and musculature kind of went away. And that's what I was seeing there. But also, you know, more reclusive because more narrowness to the face. But you can really track things over time. You can see how someone's changed as a child, as an adult, when they get older. Like you can just track their personality changes. It's fascinating.
So I think, how about we do my father, but you could do it on your channel, on your TikTok, and we could just send everybody over. I'll send you some pictures over. It'll be a surprise. It'll be a surprise to us if you're willing.
Yeah, I do.
If Michael's okay with that, you good with that?
You know what, Laura? I think you did it already. I think you're doing it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. One thing, if I could just say right now, that I find very interesting about your face in light of just who you are, is your ears. I love your ears. They come out a little further in the shape of them. Your personality sticks out. You could never be a wallflower. Everyone knew it when you walked in the room. And there's a rebelliousness to you. There's a fire in you. There's just a rebelliousness and an extra amount of fire in you. That really sticks out to me. So
but he conceals it so well. And it's so funny because I'm glad you said this, because see, I have seen the rebelliousness, the fire, the fight in him, but he has a super charisma and charm on the, and the show. The show is a low intensity environment. It's people here, praise. It's a happy thing. So sometimes I feel like the commenters and the viewership they just think that's all he is. And sometimes I feel like people will, because in his life, he comes from a very extreme world where you have to be able to be violent if it's called on. You have to be able to be a guy that can go on a hit if it's called on. And there's this popular terminology that's out there now, like a gangster versus a racketeer. And the racket, when they call a guy like, oh, he's just a racketeer, they're kind of slighting him, saying he doesn't really got the stuff. He don't have the toughness to do the other side of the life. And when I see those comments, and sometimes I see that people think, oh, Michael was just like he was probably a good earner, a nice guy, But see, I don't believe. See, and I thought that to a certain extent before I got to know him more. But I always say that he does have that, like a shadow side of him, I think.
Yeah, there's a mix of both. And but that fire and that rebellion, it definitely stuck out to me.
If you ever drive in a car with Michael, you definitely see the rebellious side.
It'll be good. I'm gonna send you a whole bunch of pictures after this. It'll be funny. It'll be
awesome.
I'll look forward to that too.
Yeah, and you have a website. You have anything where people could go on and check you out, because you're going to get some hits up from us. And then we're doing it on our Patreon, and then we're going to move to YouTube, and we got 26,000 subscribers.
27,000 now. I checked today.
27, and then we have there's like 2/3 more that didn't sign up but follow. So hopefully you'll do okay with it. And
awesome. Well, thank you.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
What's that?
Do you do any YouTube video? Do you have a YouTube page?
You know, I got a YouTube channel and I'm a one-person show. So
it's not easy. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I've just been really focused on TikTok and Instagram. So it's just Lori Bell Hypnosis on TikTok, on Instagram. And I've got links to my website there where you can book a face reading and find out what your face says and, you know, find out what your ex-husband's face says, because sometimes that can give us some relief and we can feel like we're not crazy. So whatever you need.
You happen to right. We can have a conversation about that too. That's pretty deep. And get deep on that subject. But you go enjoy yourself right now. I know we're holding you up. Of course, I see.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure and so nice meeting you all. And thanks for it's so funny. You reached out today. We did this today.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect this.
Me neither.
I didn't expect
it was so great. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'll look forward to those pictures.
Have a great.
Appreciate you. Thank you again, Lori.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mikey, Sky, RJ. Thank you guys.
Yep.
Good night.
Take care.